60 Minutes with Angela starts right now.
Listen, no chairman or acting chairman of Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has ever been able to shake off the perception of bias against them in the performance of their duties. From Nuhu Ribadu to Farida Waziri, from Ibrahim Lamode to Ibrahim Magu, now the acting chairman of the commission, all of them have been accused of only going after the president's perceived enemies, opponents, critics, and or rivals. And none, I stand to be corrected, none has ever been a great friend of Nigeria's political class, including her National Assembly. Well, hello and welcome to the program. I'm Angela Ajetumobi. And so, legal practitioner, author, constitutional law expert, specializes in jurisprudence, labor law, and human rights. Chris AKIRI is a member of the editorial board of Nigeria's Sun newspapers and chairman of the editorial board of national daily newspapers. He joins me today to examine the state of the nation. Well, thank you, Mr. AKIRI, for coming back on the program with me today.
The pleasure is always mine.
So you listened to my introduction there.
Yes.
I said none of the chairman or acting chairman, as the case may be, of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has ever been able to shake off that perception that they're only working for the president. In other words, they go after the president's rivals, his opponents, his critics. They don't spread their net to catch people within or around the presidency. Did you agree with that statement?
Well, yes, to a large extent. I agree that they've not been able to shake off that perception, because there is a saying that as it was in the beginning is now and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Yes.
It started like that. So why should it not continue? When the EFCC was formed in 2004, Nuhu Ribadu became the first chairman, pioneer chairman. He was appointed by Obasanjo to go after his perceived or real opponent. Finished. And that's what he did till the very end. Yeah, nobody stopped him. So other people came, Farida Waziri, Lamode, and all of them. So they copied what that man did. Because in doing what he did, that's Nuhu Ribadu, he became famous, nationally and even internationally. So if that is what to do to become famous, we have to continue it.
And tried and tested formula.
Correct.
Do you agree that this current acting chairman of the EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, has done more than any previous chairman? He revived dormant cases. We know a lot of the former governors who had pending cases. There's always a flurry of activities, then everything just dies down. But Mr. Magu has been able to enter areas where no one has ever dared to do. I mean, he even arrested the wife of the Senate president, which no one has ever dared. Women have always been off limits in our politics. So I was listening or reading Senator Ali Mikena the other day, who said Magu is terrorizing senators. So are you one of those who thinks the rejection of Magu is as a result of the good work he's doing, if you think he's doing good work?
Yes, if you ask me this question, has Magu been doing a good work? I would answer that question in the affirmative. He's been doing wonderfully well as chairman of the EFCC. As a matter of fact, I see him as being more competent than any of the chairmen so far appointed.
Yes.
Much better than Nuhu Ribadu at least.
Why do you say he's much more competent than all of them?
He has been able to unearth cases that were presumed dead. We are fighting corruption. If we have to fight corruption, we turn the blind eye to certain aspects of our corrupt lives. And he's saying, no, if we are going to fight corruption, let us go the whole hog and fight it. Whether this matter has been sentenced to the dustbin of history or not, it must be unearthed. And we talk about it. For example, there was a time when he was beginning to talk of the Halliburton matter.
Yes.
Very soon he may soon talk about Siemens and so on, Malabu oil and whatever. If you want to fight corruption, you must fight corruption up to the hilt. This is just what that man is doing. And you did say too that he actually prosecuted the wife of the third man in this country. He plucked up enough courage to summon the wife.
But some people say, what a cheek, the audacity of the man going after the wife of the third citizen of this country?
In other countries, whether in Germany or in France or in the United States of America, people can pluck up enough courage to go after the president of the nation. Whether the president is still there, the incumbent president or past president, they can go after such people. And if there is any need for it, they send them to prison. How much more the wife of the third man, not the first man. The first man is the president, second man in this country is the vice president, and the third person is the president of the Senate. Now, so there is no big deal going after the wife of the president of the Senate. He had that courage, such a gritty human being. But you see, if you want to ask him questions about what is going on against him in the Senate.
The thing now is, you can't have gone after the wife of the Senate president and expect to be confirmed appearing before that same
As a matter of fact, it is the courage that he was able to summon up. It is that courage that should have made all the senators. I mean, the president of the Senate is not there all by himself. There are 109 senators, including the president of the Senate. And he is just first among equals. There are other senators to say this man is good. That he has gone after the wife of the president of the Senate doesn't mean anything. In fact, that's the more reason they should confirm him. But maybe I should not begin to talk about why they are not confirming him.
Why do you think they're not confirming him?
They are not confirming him because there is infighting in the presidency itself. There are intrigues
among the agencies.
In the executive itself. You know that the DSS is an arm of the executive. Good. So if the president has appointed somebody and the DSS, which is an agency of the executive, is asked by the Senate to look into the life of this man and so on, and they turned a very negative report on him, what do you expect the senators to do? To say, in spite of this report coming from the presidency, mark my word, coming from
the presidency.
Correct. In spite of this thing, we are going to confirm him. I mean, there is something wrong.
Are you saying, Mr. AKIRI, that because the DSS gave a negative report, shouldn't they have, if they saw something negative
correct,
and they meant to give a negative report, if that's the negativity they saw, are they supposed to pretend because they're part of the executive?
No, they've done the right job. Whether we are part of the executive or not, what is our job? It's to say the truth and nothing but the truth.
As an independent agency.
As an independent agency, even if we are an arm of the government. Now they did their job and did it very well, and that's what the Senate expected them to do. And they've done just that. Having done that, nobody expects the Senate to say, okay, in spite of this report, this ugly report, we are confirming. They are not there to just confirm. It is not mandatory on them to confirm anybody that is sent to them by the president. No, it's not mandatory.
Automatic.
No, it's not automatic. Now, they have to look at the person first, and then they send the name or everything about the man to the DSS, which will now look into the antecedents of that nominee. Now, if they find him wonderful, and they send a report to the Senate, and they send a copy of the report to the President, if the man is good, then the Senate is advised to confirm.
Let me refer you now to the United States of America.
Yes.
I thought that people go for screening at the Senate.
Yes.
But it's almost automatic, because I thought there's a rapport between the legislature and the executive. We've seen instances where nominees of the United States President Donald Trump, people thought definitely this man can pass. Jeff Sessions, for instance, with all the burdens, he was passed. So, even if the DSS gives a negative report, if, as we both agree, that Mr. Magu has been doing well, the best we've ever had as chairman of the EFCC, why not approve him?
No, it's not. It doesn't go like that. You see, but because the case of the US that you talked about, if there is some kind of rapport between the executive and the legislature, that's what you expect. Now, they would have cleaned their house very well at the executive level, and they would have made sure that this person we are going to send is going to be acceptable to the legislature. Now, before they send the person, they have done their homework very well. It's not this shoddy business, because what we are having in Nigeria today is very shoddy business. DSS, which is an agency of the executive, took a look at this person and must have advised the executive that this man is not capable of being confirmed.
DSS not advised before the man was made acting chairman? Is there no sort of screening before you're made acting chairman?
No. You see, in the case of Nigeria, the man was appointed before the nomination was sent to the Senate. In Nigeria's case, the man would have been appointed before that nomination is sent to the Senate for confirmation, if need be. And here we come again about the constitutionality of his appointment as acting chairman of the EFCC.
Is there anything in the law?
Nothing like that. There's nothing like acting chairman.
I thought I saw a section
2, subsection 3 of the EFCC Act 2004.
Yes, that's the chairman and members of the commission other than ex-official members shall be appointed by the president,
subject to
the
confirmation. You don't see acting chairman. The only place where you see acting in the Constitution is the Constitution, where you have in section 231, subsection 4, that in the case of CJN not being able to act, something has happened. There's a vacancy of the CJN. Then the president shall appoint the next most senior justice of the Supreme Court as acting CJN. Not in this case. You will not see acting here.
Okay, what about section 4 of the EFCC Act? Where a vacancy occurs in the membership of the commission, it shall be filled by the appointment of a successor to hold office for the remainder of the term of office of his predecessor. So, however, that the successor shall represent the same interest as his predecessor. I looked at that and thought, well, there you have your acting chairman. If there is a vacancy, they can appoint someone to finish the term of the person who has left the office.
Well, this is not such a case. The case is just somebody has left and you want to fill that vacancy for now until the substantive person is appointed. Now, but in this case, Magu was appointed not to be an acting person for somebody that is going to come next. No, he was appointed as the chairman because he has to be confirmed by the Senate. They made him acting chairman, who should not be. They should have appointed him chairman, subject to confirmation by the Senate.
Okay. He assumed office formally on November 11, 2015. Why has no one gone to court? We're in 2017 now, to challenge this appointment as an acting chairman.
No, but why should people go to court all the time? We are not too litigious in Nigeria. I mean, why should people expect that we must go to court before the right thing is done? The thing is that when you send somebody appointed as something to the Senate for confirmation, if it is the duty of the Senate to say yes or no. Once they have said no, you don't represent.
But he's been presented twice.
Twice. It means that there is something that you would like to label corruption is in there. Why would you present this person twice?
Because he's doing a great job.
No, it's not because he's doing it could be the greatest man in Nigeria. Once he's presented to the Senate for confirmation, whoever the person is, he has acquired massive intellectual attainments, or he does the job so competently that no other person would be able to do it.
Yes.
And you have to present that person before the Senate for confirmation. The moment the Senate says no, don't represent him. Because if you represent him,
yes,
it shows that there is something beneath that representation.
But does the law give any restriction to the number of times the president can represent somebody? We saw in the time of President Obasanjo,
yes,
he kept presenting Professor Boris Shade,
yes,
again and again,
yes,
and again.
But you see, was that correct? You know, Olusegun Obasanjo's administration was civilian military in nature. And we don't want that again. You wanted to push him by all means. We have a legislature, whether bad or good. And I don't have all the kindest words for this legislature we're having, yes, made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. And I don't have the kindest word for them.
Yes.
But they must do their job. And they have done their job. You have presented somebody for confirmation.
First time?
Yeah, first time. And we have said no, you don't have to represent. If you represent, it means you are going to do something. And they said, okay, there was a second report. If that second report was more beautiful than the second one, why do you expect me as Senate to approve of that second one?
To accept the positive one and not the negative.
And not that first one. And you don't think I should think the second one has been doctored, all because you think you must have this man by all means. So that's the problem.
Join us again after the break.
Nice question.
Angela, that's a great question.
It's a good question.
It is difficult to respond to that question.
That is a serious question. Angela, that is a very great question.
Great question, Angela.
You know, Angela, that's a very difficult question.
That's a great question, Angela.
Okay, that's a great question.
Angela, that's a tough one for me.
That's a good question. Good question.
60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
So what is 60 Minutes with Angela all about? It's not an interview. I like to think it's a conversation between two people making the news, people who are in the news, and those who become the news. And the whole idea is to inform, to educate, or to clarify, as the case may be. It is an art getting people to answer the questions that everyone is thinking in their minds. And that's what we try to do on 60 Minutes with Angela. I ask all the questions that everyone's thinking about and no one wants to voice. All the questions you always wanted to ask, you get those answers on 60 Minutes with Angela. Every week on this station, 60 Minutes with Angela, getting answers to every question you always wanted to ask. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajitumobi, on my hot seat today. Chris AKIRI, one of my favorite people to discuss the Constitution with.
Thank you.
So is there anything that says Ibrahim Magu cannot continue to act as chairman?
Yes, everything says that he should be told to go and another person appointed and sent to the Senate for confirmation. Another person, whoever Magu is. Earlier on, I poured encomiums on Magu,
yes,
that he's been doing the job very well.
Yes.
But we must follow the law. For goodness sake, in this country we must be governed by the rule of law and the due process of the law. The law says once you are presented to the Senate, you are either confirmed or not confirmed. If you are not confirmed, period, you go away. And there is no room for acting. You act there, then you are trying to breach the law, breach the Constitution
Find a
through
loophole.
the back door.
Yes.
You would say acting. For goodness sake, this man has been acting for almost 2 years.
Are you saying then that anyone can challenge the legality or validity of all the cases that have gone on under the acting chairmanship of Magu?
Yes.
Someone can challenge that in court and say, you are not properly designated as the chairman, so everything that you have done is null and void.
Well, whether anybody can go to court, file any suit to void whatever he may have been done under him. I don't think Magu is an institution. He is an officer. It's one of the officers, primus inter pares. He's one of the greatest officers of the EFCC.
Yes.
Now, the institution that did all those things while he was in office as an acting person is the EFCC. So, could we say what the EFCC has done within the period of the last 1.5 years or 2 years, would be said to be wrong, or because the acting chairman has not been properly appointed or something? No, we can't do that, because it is the institution that we have to look at. The institution, the EFCC, that did all those things.
Yes.
Not Magu. Magu just signed certain papers, decided by the EFCC,
Yes.
then he signed, that's all.
So what if the president keeps Magu as acting chairman of the EFCC?
He would have committed gross constitutional breach. He continues to keep him like that. When the Senate says, don't keep him, let him go, we cannot confirm him as provided by the Constitution.
Yes.
We can't confirm him, and therefore he must go. And the president insists on keeping him. He will be fighting against the Constitution. And I don't want a situation in which our own president commits any impeachable offense.
Because anything he does against the Constitution is impeachable.
Well, because he swore to uphold the Constitution, in the 7th schedule of the Constitution.
Yes.
He swore to uphold to respect the Constitution. The Constitution today is the concept or rigor of the Nigerian legal system. It is the basic law. It is the Grundnorm of the Nigerian legal system.
Yes.
So if you offend that, not that the Constitution is very good, it has all these big aliases. It is the Grundnorm.
Yes.
It is the basic law of the land.
Yes.
It is the concept or rigor of the Nigerian legal system. It has, not that the Constitution is good, but unless and until this Constitution is amended or reviewed, you must respect it, because that's what you swore on the day you were inaugurated as president of this country. You swore to respect this Constitution. As a matter of fact, if you don't respect this Constitution, then you can't be president.
You understand now the Senate suspending proceedings for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They were meant to be considering screening of 27 resident electoral commissioners.
Yes.
They are saying that they will not go ahead with that screening of the recs.
Yes.
Unless and until Ibrahim Magu is removed as the acting chairman of the AFCC.
You asked me that question, I said they are doing the right thing.
Does the Senate have powers to compel the executive to relieve Magu of his appointment and appoint a temporary or permanent replacement?
Okay.
Can they force his hand?
Take a look at it like this. Magu, the head of the EFCC, an EFCC commission, is the chairman. Now, which Magu wants to become. But that chairman has to be confirmed by the Senate, like so many other people that have to be confirmed by the Senate.
Yes.
Now, the Senate has said, as a result of all the reports that it has received, Senate has said, we cannot confirm this person under the circumstances. The natural consequence of that one is that this man should be eased off, because the Senate cannot confirm him. If the Senate must confirm him before he can become chairman, and the Senate says we cannot confirm him,
and they've said it twice,
we cannot confirm him, what does that mean naturally? It means that this man has to go. And the Senate has said, well, since we cannot confirm him, we can never confirm him. You've sent him twice, and we cannot confirm him. Therefore, send him away. Bring another person. And this man, obdurately says, I want to keep him as acting chairman forever. This type of thing that Professor Ishesage advised, whether you confirm or not, I think that's an offense a big offense against the Constitution. The Senate have that right to say, send him away. If you don't send him away, then what's the point looking into other cases such as the case of these resident electoral commissioners that you have sent. You have sent 27 of them. We can't look at them because you don't respect what we say anyway. That's what the Senate people are saying. Then these 27 people that you have sent to us now, you think and you are sure we must confirm all the 27. Because if we remove any one or two, you are still going to use them in spite of our inability to confirm such people. So the Senate is on the right path. This is the only way to tell the president to respect the Constitution. What the Senate is doing now. Whoever is saying anything contrary to what I've just said, has no respect for the Constitution. This is what the president swore to. Took the oath of office and the oath of allegiance in 2015, May 29, and he said he was going to uphold the Constitution. So help me God.
What about the fact that Magu's EFCC is going after majority of the senators? Who expected them to approve him?
No.
Would you approve somebody that another senator has said is terrorizing you?
Okay. Would you then say that because Magu's EFCC is going after a host of senators, that is why the DSS, turned him in a very negative report or two negative reports? Would you say that it is because the EFCC is going after a host of senators? That is why DSS, which is an arm of the executive, turned in very bad reports on the president's appointee. Would you say that? That's a problem. The president's agency, an arm of the executive, turned in two bad reports on this same person. If the Senate goes ahead to confirm him today, the president should be able to say, Senate, you are not doing your job very well. We have told you through these reports that we sent to you that this man is not okay. We deliberately sent this one to you, said that you don't confirm him. But you went ahead to confirm him. Take a second look at the report, which we sent to you. We sent to you because DSS is part of them. The executive.
What about the argument from some quarters saying that negative report by the DSS is like throwing a wedge into the war that the president is fighting on corruption? How can an agency of the executive give a negative report against a man that is at the forefront doing so well, fighting corruption, what you call one of the best chairmen we've ever had?
Yes, correct. I mean, it's also part of fighting corruption, what the DSS has done. Because you see, if we are fighting corruption, we want to make sure. I mean, if the person is very competent, but corrupt, if the person is so competent, we've never seen any competent man like that before. But inherently corrupt, if the person is inherently corrupt, would you want that? He is so competent, and he has a litany of highfalutin academic qualifications, but inherently inside he has iniquitous things inside him. Now, you wouldn't like to appoint such a person in spite of his qualifications and hard work. No, that's the problem we're having. Magu is so good, but then the people who should know better at DSS, they've now told us that no, he's very good, he's hard working, but there is something else. And they've told us, so that's what we take.
This Magu's rejection hasn't allowed many people to take another look at the Senate, with some now expressing concerns that it would seem as if the powers of the Senate have no limitations. The powers are limitless. Take the example of the Comptroller General of Customs, retired Colonel Hamid Ali, and his appearance at the Senate in Mufti. The Senate sending him back and asking him to come on the 22nd of March in full customs uniform. Some people say it's not the Senate's place to tell the man to wear a uniform, even if the law prescribed a uniform for a customs officer. Where do you stand on that? Do you think Hamid Ali ought to be in uniform?
Well, Hamid Ali is the Comptroller General of Customs, and he has a uniform. Which he has to wear on ceremonial occasions. If he is summoned before the Senate, which has the right to summon him, to summon any person, they are not going beyond their bounds. If they summon any person, whoever he is, that's not the meaning of going beyond their bounds. If he's summoned by the Senate to come and answer certain questions about his department, I don't think that the Senate would be right to say you must wear your uniform. The person they summoned was good enough, he obeyed the law and came before you. The fact that he's not in uniform does not prevent you from asking all the relevant questions that you need to
concerning the matter
there. So I think it was going a bit too far to require him to be in uniform before he can appear over them. And it's a question of ego. Here we are, big men, come appear before us in your uniform. I think that was a bit too much, because the Constitution doesn't say the man must wear his uniform. Any person that is summoned before the Senate or the House of Representatives must be in uniform before he can be asked questions.
Yes.
In the United States of America, people, like the Director General of FBI,
yes,
James Comey, has appeared before the Congress very many times. And it's been in mufti like this, in a suit. Other people have come, along with them, other people have come in fully dressed in their, official uniforms. No problem if you want to come in your official uniform to say, well, this is my rank and everybody has to obey my rank. If you talk to me, you must know the person you are talking with.
Yes.
So this is my rank. You can say my epaulets. Now, that's different. So it should depend on him, whether he wants to put on that rank for people to know who he is, or he has chosen to come there in mufti. As long as he has respected your summons, you should go ahead. All this one, don't come to see out until March 27, should never have arisen. It's an ego thing. Egocentricity is worrying the Senate.
One thing you said that caught my attention is that the Senate can summon anybody. I thought there were limitations. Section 88 and 89 give very clear examples of the reasons the Senate can summon you in furtherance of lawmaking, to correct defects in the law. And there's a procedure also for summoning. It must be published in a journal or in the official gazette, So do we see all these things happening, or they're just summoning you, as you say, as a result of ego to prove a point that yes, we can?
Yes, you see, you are here and I'm here. We don't know, but I'm sure it's true that before they summon anybody, they obey what the Constitution says. They publish it either in their own national journal or in the official gazette, the federal government. They publish it. I mean, that's when you get to know that somebody has been summoned in the first place. They must have published it, that we are summoning this person in connection with this and this and this.
Yes.
So they summon the person. This section you are looking at, if you just open section 88, you will see the paragraphs there.
Subject to the provisions of the Constitution, each House of National Assembly shall have power by resolution published in its journal or in the official gazette of the government to direct or cause to be directed an investigation into any matter or thing with respect to which it has power to make laws, and the conduct of affairs of any person, authority, ministry, government.
Of any person, the conduct of affairs of any person, whoever you are not too small, you are not too big for them to be somebody, provided they've published it in their own national paper or in the official gazette of the federal government.
Right. What about subsection 2?
Yes.
The powers conferred on the National Assembly under the provisions of this section are exercisable only for the purpose of enabling it to make laws with respect to any matter within its legislative competence and correct any defects, to expose corruption, inefficiency, or waste in the execution or administration of laws within its legislative competence.
Correct. Okay, correct. I mean, that's it. Do you know that they are trying to look at something? The customs people are trying to impose a duty on vehicles. The vehicle you bought several years ago, all of a sudden they decide you must go to the customs office near your place to pay another duty on something. Otherwise, you are given with a period of maybe 1 month or 2 months, after which people will begin to arrest you and so on and so forth. And then everybody in Nigeria cried havoc over that decision by the customs. And now these people want to make a law, and that's what you read out. For the purpose of, it's exercisable if they want to make a law or correct a law or whatever, So they are now trying to look at it that what are you trying to do? Customs, what are you trying to do? When did this one arise? Where is it arising from? So after asking this man a question, they are going to make a law to stop that, or to say, okay, you are right, you can continue, and so on. But they are going to make a law. That's why they are summoning him.
Join us again after the break.
Nice question.
Angela, that's a great question.
It's a good question.
It is difficult to respond to that question.
That is a serious question.
Angela, that is a very great question.
Great question, Angela.
You know, Angela, that's a very difficult question.
That's a great question, Angela.
Okay, that's a great question.
Angela, that's a tough one for me.
That's a good question. Good question.
60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
So what is 60 Minutes with Angela all about? It's not an interview. I like to think it's a conversation between two people making the news, people who are in the news, and those who become the news. And the whole idea is to inform, to educate, or to clarify, as the case may be. It is an art getting people to answer the questions that everyone is thinking in their minds. And that's what we try to do on 60 Minutes with Angela. I ask all the questions that everyone's thinking about and no one wants to voice. All the questions you always wanted to ask, you get those answers on 60 Minutes with Angela. Every week on this station, 60 Minutes with Angela, getting answers to every question you always wanted to ask. Welcome back. My concluding moments now with legal practitioner Chris AKIRI. I just thought about the composition of the EFCC. If you have so many prominent members as members of the commission, the CBN governor, the DG of the SEC, and all of them, why is there so much emphasis on the chairman of the commission?
No, where you can see, if you read there, you will see that the chairman is an executive member.
Right.
All the other big men that you're talking about are non-executive members. They are part-time. And
Right.
it is
stated there.
They are part-time.
Yes. Okay.
The CBN governor, all the rest of them,
Yes.
Inspector General of Police,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Because it has to do with the law. Before you prosecute somebody for any wrongdoing, he has stolen something, you have to look at it from the angle of vision of, libel and so on.
Yes.
So, and the economics and all that. And that's why the CBN comes in, and all the Attorney General of the Federation and whatever.
And I can't have you here without talking about AKIRI State.
Yeah.
You know that by October 16, 2018, a new governor will emerge. Whether it will be new, whether it will be an incumbent, we don't know. Chapter 7 of your book, The Way It Is, Part 2, you asked and answered the question, can President Goodluck Jonathan contest elections again in 2015?
Yes.
He went on to contest that election and he lost.
Yes.
So today I want you to take a look at AKIRI State. In 2014, Ayo Fayose started a 4-year term, which should terminate in 2018. We know now through the courts that his impeachment in 2003, during his term in 2003, I think the impeachment was in 2006. We know now that that impeachment was declared illegal. Can he contest again in 2018?
I think you have just said it. He can contest. I mean, he can't contest.
He can't.
He can't contest.
Even though his first term was truncated illegally?
In between.
Don't we owe him 1 year?
No, you don't elect a governor, president, vice president, and so on for 1 year only. We elect the person for 4 years to begin with.
Yes.
Subject to a maximum of 8 years in office. Now, he was sworn in on the 29th of May, 2003. Now, somehow, he couldn't complete the term. Now, 3 years thereafter, he was impeached. He had already spent 3 years.
Yes.
In the American Constitution, that is more than the half, and you were deemed to have spent the full term.
Really?
Yes, if you have spent more than 2 years. Now, he had spent, from 2003 to October 16, 2006, when he was impeached. Now, if that impeachment had been upheld by the apex court, as happened in 2006 also,
yes.
Now, he would have been eligible for another contest in 2018 because he would never, either himself or any other person, would never have said, oh yes, he was governor. That is, if that impeachment had been upheld, nobody legally would never have been said to have been governor of elected governor of Ekiti State. But unfortunately, the Supreme Court said that impeachment was null and void. In other words, there was an elected governor, and that person was Ayodele Fayose. In 2003, he was elected and he became governor of Ekiti State. And so today, history has it that Ayodele Fayose was governor of Ekiti State from 2003 to 2007 or whatever. Yes, that's it.
Even though he didn't do that last year?
It doesn't matter. Put the accent on elected. Was he an elected person? Because if you open the Constitution,
yes,
Section 182, paragraph B.
No person shall be qualified for election to the office of governor of a state if he has been elected to such office at any two previous elections.
Correct. That's why I put the accent on elect. He has been elected. Was he elected in 2003? The answer to that question is in the affirmative, because the Supreme Court, the apex court of the land, said so.
Yes.
He was elected, duly elected. As a matter of fact, whether the Supreme Court went beyond that one to say his election was very valid, and so on.
Very valid.
Very valid. You know, so he was elected. Was he elected in 2003? Yes. If it is yes, was he elected in 2014?
Yes.
Yes. Should he be elected again in 2018? No. You can see the point where I'm coming from. Correct.
So he's not entitled
no,
to go
not at all. I mean, Fayose is my own man any day, but we must be governed by the rule of law. Yes.
Why is he your own man?
My own man, because you see, when any person is oppressed, if somebody is oppressed or suppressed or repressed, I'm for that person in life. That's why I became a lawyer. I don't want oppression at any time.
Are you saying Fayose has been oppressed?
Everybody's saying about him. If you ask people in this country today, well, what do you see about Fayose? When he's doing the right thing and people think he's doing the wrong thing. Without him today, nobody would believe that the PDP still exists. And I want courageous people, gritty spirits, who can say the way it is. Incidentally, that's the title of my books. Yes, who can say the way it is without minding whose source is God.
Yes.
Now, those are the people I want. The fact that he has been a great critic of the APC. But that did not prevent him from congratulating Tinubu on his birthday.
Yes.
To praising him to the skies. These are the type of people I want. Where the fact comes, you say it. Where is the opposite, you say it. See, that's why he's my man. Yes. The other time they froze his accounts in Zenith Bank, I went to Channels Television to tell the whole world that they should never have done that. Nobody on earth has the right, in Nigeria today at least, has the right to freeze a governor's account.
Why not?
Somebody is serving as governor of a state. If you did that, you have punished him. You have punished him without hearing. Because don't forget that Section 308 says that you cannot arraign any governor, any serving governor, before any court of law.
So he has immunity.
Correct. And if you don't arraign him before any court of law, how do you subserve the whole value of fair hearing? So you just punish him without hearing him?
Because in freezing his account, he's supposed to head to court.
Yes.
But he's not allowed to.
He's not allowed to go. So you have not summoned him to court because you cannot summon him to court. You cannot prosecute him. Now, so why would you punish him without prosecution? That is against Section 36 of the Constitution. Yeah, on a fair hearing. So, and then the court came out with the same thing that I've just told you. And I left, I was in ecstasies. Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, so are you hopeful the PDP will come back stronger?
Well, I hope they will come back, a stronger party. But I would have thought that they were going to establish a new political party away from the PDP. If the PDP acquired a name that was not altogether fine in those days for say 16 years or so, why? I mean, the opportunity of Sheriff, gave you the right to form a new political party.
Yes.
You could call mega party, and so many people will join. In view of the current situation in this country, so many people would have joined you. Why would you want to stick to PDP? But I think if they try to settle the issues involving all of them politically and not legally, if they want to go the legal way, it may not augur well for them because they are waiting for the decision of the Supreme Court, whether it is Sheriff or McCarthy. So either way, it will not augur well for the party. That's settling it legally. But I would have loved to think that they settled the whole matter politically. Then it would have been good for them.
President Buhari is back.
Yes.
He left January 19, resumed work officially Monday 13th of March.
Yes.
With the state of his health, anyone can be sick. He's recovering. He has said, on the road to recovery.
Yes.
Do you think he should contest again in 2019?
Well, that is severely up to the electorate. It's not up to one person. Like me now, for example, saying he should contest, he should not contest. It depends on him and on the electorate. If he thinks he's well enough, if he examines his wellness, and he says, well, I can do it for another 4 years.
Yes.
And then the electorate thinks that yes, this man can do it. From all that he did during the first 4 years, I mean, all those things are enough for us to vote for him again.
Yes.
Yes, so you can come in, no problem.
With the Senate's suspension of the consideration of the 27 resident electoral commissioners, don't forget, we're looking to fill 33 states, not actually 27.
Yes.
Is the itinerary released by INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, is it now in jeopardy if we don't get the recs? How do we proceed with the continuous voter registration without recs in place?
I don't think it's the fault of INEC. They must have given these names to the presidency a long time ago, and nothing has been done about them.
Yes.
I mean, because INEC could not have afforded that vacancy vacuum to remain there for such a long time.
For so long, yes.
Because the Constitution says there must be a resident electoral commissioner for each of the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. So they must have obeyed that, and the presidency probably kept the list to itself, So, I mean, if the Senate doesn't confirm these 27 people within a period of 2 weeks, when they think action must have been done on Magu, now that is not going to make any big deal or any big difference. We've been keeping those names. Who
will supervise voter registration?
No, but voters registration. Have we been asking this question since there have been these vacancies? These vacancies have been there for upward of almost 2 years. And
since the last election?
Yes, and the election, the INEC people have come up with the timetable for election in 2019 already. And these resident electoral commissioners are just being presented to the Senate for confirmation. So I don't know what to say. Yes, because as it is, the Constitution has been honored more in the breach than in the observance. That vacuum has been there for a long time, almost 2 years. Instead of 36 or 37 resident electoral commissioners, we had only about 3 or something, 4. So nobody has been talking about them. Are you going to blame the Senate? These 2 weeks, only 2 weeks. That shouldn't make any difference. Let the presidency do the needful within these 2 weeks. That is, send Magu away. However good Magu is, he should never come back.
You are insisting on that?
Oh yes, because that's what the Constitution says. That if the Senate rejects somebody and a nominee, that nominee stands, uprooted. So Magu has to go and another person has to come in. If they should bring in Magu again, that will be flouting the Constitution.
Thank you very much, Mr. AKIRI, for giving us your opinions today. And thank you for watching. I'm Angela Ajitumobi.